Hey y'all. I was just out doing my what you might call it like business prospecting. Viewers, don't knock that over. I was out doing some business prospecting. It's pretty much an excuse uh of me looking for new friends, new business owner friends, slash, see if I could actually provide some value to business owners. I haven't really mentioned it on YouTube, but I am a newly licensed financial professional. Super new, I'm still in training. There are certain parts that I'm certified to do on my own. And anyway, going back to going out to talk to business owners, this is really funny because I'm actually not trying to talk about the financial service side today. I want to talk about mental health. The reason being is because just a few years ago, especially around the time when COVID first hit the States, right? Remember, like the chaos, the fear, the being like inside, either only being stuck with your family or being by yourself, like how I was. I had a store that had a studio attached to the back of the store, so I was living alone, running my own store alone, doing online sales. So I was just like pretty much practically alone the whole time, right, during that period. And I honestly, even before that, I was a bit isolated. When I say isolated, I mean, I don't mean that I, like, didn't see anyone for years at a time, like, like one of those meditating monks and nuns in the middle of like the Himalayas somewhere, meditating by themselves in a cave or something. It wasn't like that, but I was isolated to, like, I was isolated in the sense that I was too depressed to actually go out and connect with people. So I ran away from a lot of my friends. I didn't really keep in touch with people. It was just pretty much me dragging, like, just have doesn't have a lot of energy, didn't want to see people. I felt like, I know I'm introverted, but we're still social being, right? So when I was really, really depressed, I was using the introverted identity as a like excuse to get away, to become more and more isolated. When I actually start the process of healing, right? Like, I think I've been kind of like, there's a line between where we're kind of stuck. I want to say it's an existential thing, but everything's existential. When we're stuck, we're probably usually depressed, or behind depression, there's probably trauma that we haven't really had time to process through. For my case, it was something kind of complex because it was like a long series of like interpersonal traumas that I had to go through. And interestingly, I think I like really repressed most of my childhood trauma, and thus for most of my life, I've always been quiet around other people, especially when there are like big groups or whatever. I'm like usually quiet, and then I literally like physically feel energetically drained when I was around people. And this is just what I think, but this strain of energy kind of fed into like a type of social anxiety. And again, it loops back into the whole state of being isolation for my case. One of the biggest, going back to the healing thing, one of the biggest, I think one of the biggest aspects of my healing, besides of, exercising, like exercise every day, at least an hour a day. I don't know, if you can't do an hour, do like 30 minutes. Start slow, start 5 minutes, 1 minute, whatever. But starting to exercise and actually build up more strength in my body and actually see like a physical change, because I started toning my muscle and everything, gave me the confidence to actually connect with more people again. I've never really been antisocial, like not antisocial personality disorder, but like I've never really been, I guess like there has always been a certain level of social anxiety for me. I think like anxiety's there for a reason. We all have it. But I was to the point where I literally only listened to my anxiety and just, stay away from, I don't know, anything that was discomfort, uncomfortable. So one of the really big aspects that I noticed that causes me to take huge strides in my healing journey is when I actually start connecting with people. So this is funny, like I didn't go to school for like economics or finances, right? For all of my life, I've always been a huge humanities nerd. So pretty much all subjects within the sphere of humanities, except for literature, I was all over. So I don't know why I just mentioned that, but I wanted to say I lose my train of thought. But the reason why I'm doing this, I'm now on this financial journey, is because I saw this as an opportunity for personal growth or personal development. When I first found out about all the stuff that I need to do to succeed in this field, a lot of it has to do with like talking to other people, like especially talking to strangers, learning how to build, a connection, learn how to, I don't know, just learn like, better social skills. That's the reason why I got into this, right? So that goes back to how like I've actually taken a huge stride in healing when I start meeting all these different business owners. I mean, they're just like business owners around town. Like I just literally like drive around town and I just go in with my business cards and I just start a conversation. Most people are very, very kind, especially business people. There were a few that were just kind of like very standoffish, but it's okay. But just me being able to talk to different people really, really helps. Going back to the part where I think I didn't really, okay. Before my last pretty big interpersonal trauma, I was actually traveling in my 20s. For those of you who has known me for a while, like my personal friends that we pretty much grew up together, you know this already. And I have never, when I was traveling, I was usually alone. I traveled alone, and I never had like, my curiosity trumped social anxiety. So I didn't even have time to think about how anxious I was. I just wanted to meet people. Whenever I traveled to a new place, like I remember the first time I went to Turkey, I was just like, talking to everybody, because I was like, oh my god, like I can speak Turkish now. I can like just talk to everyone. And everyone was like, oh my god, that's just like yabancı girl can speak Turkish. Okay, anyway, like the reason why I mentioned this is because like I do want to say that like sometimes shit happens. Sometimes I guess it depends on many factors, like everything. Sometimes we might need more time to process things, or sometimes we're just like not able to process certain aspects of an issue, and that's exactly what happened to me. So I had this long drawn interpersonal issue that I was unable to process, and it drove me down into this like even deeper depression, right? And so that's where my isolation come from. And again, for me to break my isolation, my first step was to actually get out of the house. exercise. Exercise, exercise, exercise. That's something that we can do alone. We don't have to have a friend with us. It did take me a little to actually gain like I want to say like a physical bodily confidence for me to actually take another step. So throughout all this time, I didn't have a therapist to help me. I don't want to talk about that part just yet, but I know that sometimes we can't get to a therapist. Sometimes, there's lots of factors where some of us or a lot of us cannot get to a therapist. So again, something that we can do is actually exercise. We don't have to like go to the gym or anything. We can just take walks. For me, the cardio part was very, very important. And once I build up, I can see like changes on myself, even physically. And then I started noticing like, I guess like the endorphins from physical activity started building up. It actually, improved my mood. And from me being able to see these little windows of improved moods, I was able to, like remember how it feels like to not be in a traumatized or very, very depressed state. And I use that feeling that makes me feel healthy and good. I use that as an example of the activities that I need to do to get me to that state. And then I just kind of keep adding more and more activities to expand that, healthy, happier, more joyous state. And that's where I am now. That's all I wanted to share today. So thank you for listening. These videos are only going to get better and better as I get better at speaking to myself or to you guys. And yeah, it's strange speaking in front of a camera by myself. It really feels like I'm speaking in front of a mirror by myself. But learning how to improve my communication skills is another step that helps me break free from the traumatized states. So good luck to you guys. Thank you again for listening to me yap about stuff. But yeah, thank you. See you guys later.